Hello and welcome to Quick Charge by Electrek. I'm Mikey G, and it's Wednesday, December 21st. According to sources familiar with the matter, Tesla has told employees that it is implementing a hiring freeze and confirmed that another wave of layoffs is coming in the next quarter. It's not clear how extensive the hiring freeze will be, as Tesla is still planning to expand in some manufacturing locations. No further details were made available at this time. The move comes as Tesla stock has been falling all year, despite the company hitting their financial records virtually every quarter. That's partly due to a broader market downturn in 2022, but Tesla stock has not been tracking with the rest of the market over the last few months. It should be noted that Tesla is certainly not alone in implementing layoffs. Several other companies, including Goldman Sachs and Cisco, have announced upcoming rounds of layoffs lately in anticipation for a changing macroeconomics in early 2023. Tesla is expanding its electric vehicle business in Turkey, a market that has been asking for Tesla services for years now. Despite the fact that Tesla is not officially in Turkey, where there are hundreds and possibly thousands of Tesla owners in the country who went to the trouble of importing their own electric vehicles themselves and then having to operate without access to services. Anyways, they have been asking Tesla to expand in the country with stores and service centers, and it looks like it might be happening. Electrek has found that Tesla has listings for the first job openings in Turkey, and they are all for service employees in Istanbul. With the process of hiring service people now in place, it stands to reason that Tesla could start taking orders in Turkey in the coming months. General Motors shared yesterday that it has issued a recall on 140,000 Chevy Bolt EVs throughout the US and Canada. And this time it's actually not for the batteries. GM cited a risk of the EV's carpet catching fire in a crash when the front seat belt pretensioner deploys. According to GM, the exhaust gases from the pretensioner can come into contact with the carpet fibers on the Bolt's floor and then ignite. The recall affects 120,000 Chevy Bolts in the U.S. and 20,000 in Canada and pertains to model year vehicles between 2017 and 23. GM has not shared how many incidents of the Bolt floor carpets catching fire that have been reported, only declaring rare instances. GM is acting fast to reduce the PR damage after a recall was issued on account of the batteries catching fire just last year. And let me just say, I'm glad that you are listening to Quick Charge, because even when I was reading the headline this morning, I instantly thought about the batteries being the culprit. But now we know better. Rivian has removed a battery package on select trim levels of the R1T pickup truck. Rivian began by sending letters to reservation holders with the Max Pack, reportedly getting 400 miles of range, as it is no longer available when paired with the quad motor drive system. Current reservation holders are being asked to reconfigure their trucks to order either the dual motor with the Max Pack or the quad motor with the so-called large pack, which gets 328 miles of range. Now, the Rivian R1T's biggest battery is no longer compatible with the 4-motor option. So, on a slightly brighter side, those reservation holders who opt for the latter option could expedite their delivery window into early of 2023. Furthermore, Rivian says that the quad motor and Max Pack R1T reservation holders will save $4,500 if they switch to the dual motor Max Pack option. Rivian was sure to note that while the quad motor Max Pack combo is gone right now, it may not be forever. Electrek takes a ride in the Kia EV6 GT. The compact SUV/hatchback only scores 206 miles of range using the EPA test, and that's due to the heavier motors, bigger tires, and overall optimization for speed rather than range. Kia did point out that the range estimate was also influenced by the testing method, which is done at least half the time using the least efficient mode, which in this case was a lot of fun racing around. The EV6 GT is faster than a Model Y Performance and faster than a Mach-E GT or Performance version, and comes in at a price of $8,000 less. In our driving, the top speed went over 125 miles an hour very quickly, and Kia says that it tops out at 160 miles an hour. When driving the car, the stiffened suspension, huge brakes, and 21-inch tires really shined. Cornering was fun, and the car could take more Gs than most people can tolerate. The EV6 GT impresses as a track car and not just a straight inline speed. It felt extremely solid on the track, even at 100 miles an hour. It feels like a race car inside and out, behaving more like a $100,000 car instead of $60,000. Acura's first electric vehicles, the ZDX and ZDX Type S performance models, are out for testing ahead of their 2024 debut, revealing the automaker's glimpse into the electric future. Acura is a brand that we don't cover terribly often until now because they don't really have an electric vehicle program to speak of. The automaker's parent company, Honda, has also been lagging in regard to electric technology. But after Honda teamed up with General Motors to make their Honda EVs together, Acura is now benefiting too. Acura says its first EV models will incorporate many of the same design elements and features of the concept that we see in camouflage in the images on your screen. For those of you listening in, it's a puzzle pattern crossover with a fairly long wheelbase and seemingly long hood. The Acura ZDX and ZDX Type S electric vehicles will be officially unveiled next year. Ford has released its first sustainable financing report, highlighting its climate objectives and how its investments are paying off so far. For regular listeners, it won't be too much of a surprise, but according to Ford, driving electric vehicles using U.S. grid average electricity can reduce CO2 emissions by as much as 60% compared to a similar gas-powered car. Solid Power, a solid-state battery developer, has announced a longtime investor, BMW Group, is expanding an existing joint venture to license its technology in order to build its own solid-state batteries in Germany. Solid Power is from Colorado in the U.S., if you're curious. Under the agreement, BMW will gain access to Solid Power's battery research and development, cell design, and manufacturing expertise to expedite the technology. Solid Power's expanded relationship with BMW may affect access to solid-state battery technology for their other investors like Ford, but it remains unclear at this point. This news follows another milestone earlier this week in which a fellow solid-state battery developer called QuantumScape began delivering 24-layer battery cells to automotive OEMs for testing. Okay, it is opinion time. It's really too bad for those Chevy Bolt carpet fires. I am quite certain that the broad media headlines and how they are absorbed will just lead the general public to believe that bolts will catch fire and that EVs are dangerous on the grounds of batteries. In the past, I've explained to people that gasoline is combustible also, and that the rear passengers, usually kids, sit on the top of a literal bomb when they are driving a car down the road. Car fires are so common that it doesn't even make the news sometimes, but because people read headlines like the Chevy Bolt, they're afraid of batteries in a car. But for some reason, they're not afraid of the cell phone batteries that they put up to their face. Or in the case of a toothbrush, an electric toothbrush, a battery that they put in their mouth. But oh well, someday this will all be anecdotal, and everyone will finally see EVs for what they are. At least they're not called Obama cars anymore. If you remember that brief time, it was quite exhausting for me. In today's community comment, a channel called The Things You Will Find asks, "Is that your personal tool wall or just a green screen?" Asking for a friend. Actually, Things You Will Find, it might look like a green screen, but this is a real set that I built here. Over the course of a day off, I painted the pegboard and rearranged all the blue tools to make a professional-ish looking set. I have colored background lights, but on account of the tools, I think that the blue hues show up the best. On occasion, I've actually used a green screen and then copied the tool wall, but normally I do that only for traveling. Thanks for watching Quick Charge by Electrek. I'm Mikey G, and I hope you have a great day.